I am Angela Clark with Threadwinkle Quilting and APQS Raleigh, and I am going to talk to you about how to install a Microsoft Surface dock today. So we're going to start out by taking our Surface off of our machine. So I'm going to unplug my USB cable and take my power cord off, and then your Surface is going to slide up off of your mount. I'm going to set that somewhere safe. And the next thing I want to do is, well, it's not plugged in right now, but it would be unplugging your power brick for your Surface. If you didn't already know, there's a little piece of plastic here that you can pull out, and you do have an extra USB charging port. It's not a data port, it won't communicate with the Surface, but there is actually an extra charging port that comes standard on your standard brick for your Surface, but we're not going to be using this cable anymore. We're going to be using the cable, the communications cable for the power cord, for the umbilical cord, sorry, and then also we are going to be using the power cable that comes with your system. What we're trying to install on the system is a Surface dock. Okay, so what the dock does for you is it gives you more communications, right? You can see you have communications on this side of the dock. You also have communications ports on the other side of the dock. Right, so you end up getting 4 USB cable or ports. There's a display port. There's actually an Ethernet port, which you're probably not going to use, but it all is on this one little dock. All the communications from this point forward are going to happen through the actual power adapter that goes on to the Surface, so the little plug that goes on. It's a little bigger than the original one. And what this lets us do is if you have any issues with your USB port, then we can bypass it and do the communications through your power cable, and you don't have to use that USB port if it's having issues. It also lets you attach other USB peripherals like a USB mouse to your system. There's enough logic in this dock to be able to handle that information. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my power brick. So you've got this little shelf that's on the back of the long arm, on the back of your mount. It's what I took the original power brick off of. So my original power brick would have sat on this like this, right? And it's got Velcro, soft Velcro on the back of it. If you have any soft Velcro handy, right, you can put it on the bottom of this one as well, and it'll help hold on a little bit better. But I don't have any handy right now, so what I'm going to do is actually zip tie my mount to this little shelf. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to use 2 zip ties because I want to make sure that it stays on nice and tight. And I'm going to slide my zip ties up underneath this mount, right? And I want to get 2 of them, and I actually want to, if I can, get the screws for the mount in between the zip ties so that it's going to hold it better laterally. Once I get those 2 on there, then I'm going to slide my mount, I'm going to slide my dock down onto the mount, and it's going to stick out a little bit more than the other one did, and that's fine. I have one of them in backwards, so I'm going to reinsert the one that was between the screws real quick. Zip ties only tighten down in one direction. And I'm gonna get one of them on and then do the second one. And you want to tighten them down tight. You don't want these things to move, which is why if you've got the got a little bit of Velcro, that's going to help too. It's a little heavier than your original brick was, and we don't want any. I don't want any noise when excess noise. My long arm is noisy enough without me having issues with it making more noise. And then I would chop off the ends of those cables. So I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and chop off the ends of the cable. If I had black zip ties, I would use black zip ties just so that they would look a little better. But it's not going anywhere. It's fine where it is. The next thing I want to do is a little bit of cable management. I'm going to want my cord to go around here, and I only want to have enough cable to be able to plug in my my Surface. So I'm going to wind this around my fingers. You probably can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just making a little loop. And then I'm going to zip tie that as well. You can also use Velcro wire adapters if you would rather do that. And these are really big zip ties for what I'm doing. But I just want to hold it enough that it's going to sit on there and not cause me problems when my long arm is moving, right? So I don't want things to get caught on my thread path. So I'm going to cut that off as well, right? And then the last thing I want to do is take care of my brick. I'm going to unplug everything from it. And what I'm going to do is actually zip tie it right here. Okay, so the object behind this is to get it up and out of the way as much as I can. So I'm going to use the back of my mount. If you come around to the front of your mount, you've got two big holes right here. So it's a good place to actually put a zip tie through. There's a couple different ways I've seen people do this. Some people actually will strap it to the side of their long arm down here as well, and then run the cables up. I just want all of mine together so that I can easily plug stuff in. And so I'm gonna put a zip tie through, hold my mount up, and I'm gonna start out by zip tying it very loosely on here. So I'm not gonna cinch it all the way down because I wanna make sure that I am avoiding, and I need to get it to the back of the mount, don't I? I wanna avoid the USB ports when I do this because I want to be able to use those USB ports. The whole, you know, if I'm doing this, that's part of the fun of doing this, right? I get to use fun stuff with my mount then. So it's gonna sound kind of weird, but I am going to kind of put it more to the right side than the left side so that I can avoid my USB port, and then I'm gonna tighten that down. And I want to get it tight. So I'm really going to pull on it until it stops clicking. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to do, plug the dock into the brick into the dock, plug my power cord, that's what I was thinking about, into the side of this, and I'll add another little plastic wire cable like this up here to keep it nice and tight there, because you don't want things bouncing around on your long arm if you can avoid it. Okay, so we're going to take the USB cable and plug it into one of the USB ports that's coming in from the bottom. They're a little bit harder to plug into, first of all, and second of all, I want the ones on the top right here to be accessible for me in the future when I'm plugging in things like USB mice. The last thing that we need to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the slack and wrap it around the post for my USB charger, or my charger for my dock, and plug it into the side of my Surface. At this point, my Surface is actually set up and ready to go. So if I turn my long arm on, and we turn the Surface on, I'm going to back it a little bit away from my post for a second, my roller. And then I'm going to turn quilt path on. And just that easy, it's all set up and ready to go. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to do so that I can use the finger mouse on my system is to take my USB dongle for my finger mouse and put it into my Surface.